How do you feel about networking? Today's episode is all about how to make it more fun and a little bit easier. Hi everybody, I'm Michelle Carr and welcome to Your Delicious Life, where each week we take a look at life from a different perspective and either learn something new or get reminded of something that we already knew. This week's episode is called Networking Isn't About You. Shocking, right? Because we're taught that it's supposed to be you talking about you. But here's the thing, it's not really about that. And I know that's hard to take in at first because everything that we've been taught supports that idea. We're told to have an elevator pitch. We're told little ways to make it more interesting so people will ask you more questions about what you do. We're told to have a good handshake, and we're told to have cards on hand, which I still suck at sometimes. But anyhow, we're told all these things, but it's a flawed approach. And it's flawed for two reasons. One, some people just aren't comfortable talking about themselves like that. And because it feels unnatural and because they're uncomfortable, they avoid networking in events and situations like that. And the other problem is people don't want to be pitched to like that. It drives me insane when I meet people and it sounds like I've just walked into their own personal commercial. It's kind of boring and annoying, to be really honest. So I want to take a flip on this whole networking thing and show you some ways that will help you feel better about it, be more relaxed, and that are actually really fun. My first tip is be curious. Literally have that mantra as you walk into the event. Be curious, be curious. Instead of focusing on trying to get your elevator pitch out and tell people about you, be curious about them. You will naturally ask people, what do you do? And they will respond, but then you can ask more in-depth questions. If you don't know anything about the industry, just be curious. Well, what does that mean? What kind of work do you do? What does a typical day look like? How did you get into this industry? What's something you love about what you do? These kind of questions get people thinking. And the truth is, people love to talk about themselves. It's natural and it's totally normal. So when you ask them questions about themselves, they're generally happy to respond to you. If you go to networking events and you realize that you know a lot of people, you can still be curious. Now, we all start a conversation with, how are you? It's like dogs sniffing each other's butts. It's just what naturally happens. It's what we do. How are you? And everyone says, good. And we're all like, okay, neat. Let's go get a drink. Like, it's so boring to start the conversation that way, but it's normal. It's how we do it. So the trick is to have a follow-up question that you can ask them. So a great thing to ask about is family. I know for me, a lot of the people that I meet or see at networking events have families, so you can ask about the kids. Now, typically people might say, how are the kids? Kind of boring, and that's going to elicit another good response, right? So instead, you could ask something more deep, something like, what kind of activities are your kids into these days? And this question works for your kids no matter what age they are. If they are 3 years old, the person will probably talk about how they've started preschool or that they can't stop watching Paw Patrol. If they are, kind of that 6 to 14 range, they'll probably talk about whatever activity they're involved in. Hockey, dance, gymnastics, that kind of stuff. And if you ask that question to a person with teenagers, it might be a response about their job or driving or graduation coming up. And then of course, even as parents have kids that get older and are in their 20s, 30s and beyond, they'll still be able to answer with what's going on in their lives. So this question, what are your kids into these days, or what's their focus, or what are their activities, really can apply to anyone you're speaking with. Another topic I love asking people about is the season or any upcoming travel. So I might ask something like, do you have any plans to get away this fall? Are you taking any winter vacation, or are you guys going anywhere fun this summer? Those kinds of questions, you can just insert whatever season into the question and it always works. And if we're coming up to a big holiday like Christmas, you can ask them about that. What are you doing for Christmas? What do you guys typically do at Christmas time? And they might share some different things that they do, and you can always follow up with it. And you can even go a little bit deeper, like, do you guys have any family traditions that you're really looking forward to? Or what do you guys do on Christmas Eve? Those kinds of questions to really get a conversation going. If you walk into an event with a couple of questions in your back pocket that you can ask people, that's when you'll really start to connect with them. And that's when networking actually starts happening. And these questions work whether you know the person or you've just met them for the first time. My second tip is to be honest. Now, I'm not saying that we should ditch our elevator pitch altogether. We've been taught that that's important, and it is. You should have a clear and concise way of explaining what you do for a living, especially if you're at a networking event. But it should also be personal. It should come from a place of honesty and should feel genuine to the person you're telling it to. So if you've rehearsed a couple of lines that include stats or some kind of promise that they may not even care about, that's not a great elevator pitch. A great elevator pitch is something that has that honest touch that reveals a little bit about who you are and why you do what you do. Here's an example for you. Let's say you are a pregnancy and newborn photographer. You might say, I'm a pregnancy and newborn photographer and I always get the best shots. Great. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Isn't that what you're getting paid to do? Sort of boring, no feels, not very exciting. But if that same photographer instead said, I am a pregnancy and newborn photographer and I just love that time of life and it's such an honor to capture those moments for my clients, now I'm interested because this person is clearly passionate about what they do. Let me be clear, I have absolutely no need for a pregnancy or newborn photographer. I'm good, I'm done with that chapter of my life. But I would still want to know more about this person because that is interesting. I would want to know what they love about what they do and why they're so drawn to that particular time of life. And I would probably recommend them to a friend or family member who was looking for a newborn photographer because I loved their story so much. So when you add that little bit of personal touch to it, it really changes the conversation and allows you to connect. Businesses are built on relationships. Know, like, and trust. People do business with those they trust. You've heard those quotes before, like a million times, and they're true. So when you combine that sense of honesty and clarity about what you do, and you bring a personal touch to it, but you also have that touch of curiosity about what other people are doing, that's when you can actually start to connect. That's when you can start to grow and build those relationships. And that's when you build your business because people want to know that you care before they do business with you. And when you can get that across through connected conversation, your business will boom. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're around this weekend, I am speaking at the Courageous Self-Care Festival. It's down at Mount Royal in Calgary, and it goes from 9 a.m. to 5:15 p.m. And I have free tickets to give away. So if you are interested in coming to this festival, there's a great lineup of speakers, there is a vendor floor, lots of good stuff there. And if you need a little time for yourself, this is a perfect event to do that. So if you're interested and want to grab some of those free tickets that I have, just send me a message or you can email me at michelle@michellecarr.com. Have a great week, everyone.